The story begins in an abandoned building where some guys meet up, and a blonde boy opens up a suitcase full of cash and tells them that he is in charge of distribution. He brought the goods. Therefore, he will be taking an 80% share, and if someone does not like this arrangement, then they can leave. A guy told him to shut up as he did not deserve to get this much and then said that he was not there to play word games. Just as he was about to make his move, another boy put his hand on his shoulder and exclaimed that it was really a lot of money and asked the blonde boy how he managed to get this money. And then he proceeds to slam the guy into the floor. He then says to them that he is there to arrest all of them for illegal fundraising, inciting assault, and so on. And they are being arrested as criminals, as they had all been caught in the act. The protagonist is a member of the juvenile police, which is a special team that was created by the government, and it recruits students as police officers. The story then goes into a flashback to 1 year ago, showing that Jae-ha was sleeping on his desk in the school, and his friend Jonghwan Lee wakes him up, telling him that class is over already and they should get going. Lee told him that he is now part of the youth police, which is a joint initiative by the government and the police. Jae-ha asks whether he will stop attending school from now on and only work as a cop. Lee replies that he only goes out if there is a mission or something urgent. Otherwise, he just attends school like a normal kid. Jae-ha then tells him he should just finish school and then take the exam and join the police, but Lee tells him that he has been training to become a cop, so he has to grab this opportunity. Just as they were talking, Mingyu came from behind and told Jae-ha to come to the PC room with him and lend him some money, but Jae-ha told him that he did not have much money. Just then Lee interrupted and told Mingyu that they did not have any money. Mingyu then sees his badge and asks him if he is that juvenile police upholding justice or something, to which Lee tells him that he is. Mingyu then leaves with his friends as Lee tells Jae-ha not to hang around this guy and tells him to let him know if it seems like he is about to do something, as this is the reason he became a cop. Jae-ha makes fun of him, saying that he beat him up in middle school, and they start bickering. After a while, during the night, Lee arrived at an abandoned building where there were a lot of kids there, and he stopped them and requested HQ to send support fast as they had already got them. The guy at the other end tells him to come out first as it would take a while for the support to arrive, but Lee tells him that he would stall people here, to which the officer curses and tells him to just come out, but Lee ignores him. As the other boys are getting annoyed by how they are unable to stop one person, Min-gai walks into the room and calls Lee Jae-ha's lackey after seeing him. He then asks him if he wants to work for him, as he has the guts to come here alone to catch them. Lee tells him that support will arrive soon, so they all are going to get caught anyway, so it is better to stop resisting and just surrender. Mingyu tells him since they were screwed either way, he is going to kill him before and throws a punch at him, which Lee guards against, and then a kick at his side. Just then, Mingyu grabs his name tag and pulls it, which causes Lee to lose balance, and then he punches him in the abdomen, saying he is a former boxing athlete. The punch forces Lee to stumble down, and as he is standing in front of the window, he breaks its glass and falls out of the window. Jae-ha recalls their last conversation as he stood in front of the hospital bed, where Lee was lying unconscious. After a while, Jae-ha thought that delayed police backup and all other things did not matter, and it only mattered as long as Mingyu got proper punishment for his crime. Just then, Mingyu walked into the class muttering that he needed more rest, but they only gave him a 3-month suspension. He then told his friends that his trial went smoothly as they let him off after he told them that it was an accident, and now he just has to fill in some community service hours. This annoys Jae-ha as his friend has not woken up, and this bastard is just yapping some nonsense. Mingyu then tosses Lee's police name tag to Jae-ha and tells him to return it to the authorities as they were bugging him to return it. Jae-ha gets up and throws a punch at Mingyu after hearing this, but Mingyu grabs his fist and punches him in the face, and then a few more jabs, which makes Jae-ha fall to the ground. He then tells him to stop acting like his friend or he will also end up in a hospital bed next to him. He tells him that it is his friend's fault for chasing them down and acting tough while talking about the police as they were quietly making money, but he just had to interfere with it. Mingyu's friends tell him to stop hitting or he will get in trouble if some teacher were to arrive, and they leave after that. Jae-ha starts crying while recalling that Lee was his only true friend, as they met when he was beaten by his drunk father and ran away from home. He met Lee while sitting outside, who offered him chocolate and asked him if he also got kicked out of his house, and recalls that he was the only guy who truly understood him. After a few days, As Jae-ha was sitting in the hospital room beside Lee's bed, a guy came in asking if this was Lee Jung-won's room, to which Jae-ha replied that it was and asked me who he was. The guy tells him that he is Officer Lee Yong-rim and is in charge of Lee's case. Jae-ha tells me his name, to which the officer replies that he was planning on meeting with him anyway, so it is good that he found him here. He then told him to go outside and talk for a bit. Outside on a bench, he told him that there was a chance that his friend would wake up, so he should cheer up. Jae-ha asks him whether he knows Lee well, to which the officer tells him that of course, he does, as he was his commanding officer. Lee was one of the members of his juvenile police team. Jae-ha asks me how Lee was there. The officer tells him that even though he was lacking in academics, physical fitness, and a few other areas, he was closer to becoming a real police officer than anyone else. He told him that he used to talk about him a lot and used to say that he has a friend who is terrible at games and he is his childhood friend from the neighborhood who is in a similar situation as him, so he would take him to ramen cafes and PC rooms after he becomes a police officer and gets money. He then gives Jae-ha his card and tells him to reach out to him if anything happens. As he was leaving, Jae-ha stopped him and asked if he could also apply for juvenile police. The officer asks him if he wants to join for revenge. He further adds that even if he still needs to have real skills to stop criminals, and he should at least know how to fight and know some martial arts. Jae-ha asks him to help him as Min-gyu comes back to school acting like nothing happened and even beats him up when he confronts him and says that it is not fair that some guys can only get away with community service hours just because they are minors and first-time offenders while the other person ends up in a hospital and cannot even wake up. The officer tells him that the recruitment is over, but if a reason arises, then it might be possible, but for that, he would have to show something convincing, and it would not be easy, and asks him if he is still willing to try, to which Jae-ha nods. After 6 months, a guy knocks on the door of an office in Yongdongpo and starts yelling at the people there that they should pay him up or else he will burn the place upside down. Just as he was creating all this commotion, Min-gyu came forward and smashed his head into the ground while telling him to stop being a hypocrite as they were now losing. Just then, Jae-ha walks into the office and says to Min-gyu that he is still the same as before. Min-gyu tells his friends to back off while saying that those eyes look familiar, and after Jae-ha took off his cap, he recognized him and started laughing while saying that he thought he disappeared after getting his ass kicked during that time and asked how he found his office. Just as he was talking, Jae-ha threw a punch at him, which Min-gyu dodged while saying that he told him to not try anything funny, but I guess he lost it after losing a friend. He then told him that he was going to send him to his friend. Min-gyu starts throwing jabs at Jae-ha, and while the latter tries to form a guard, Min-gyu ignores it and punches his face while mocking his guard stance. Jae-ha recalls that the officer had told him that he would lose if he fought Min-gyu, and that is why he made him practice throws 10,000 times while quoting Bruce Lee that a man who had practiced one kick 1,000 times was more dangerous than a man who had practiced 1,000 kicks one time. He told him not to fall and just focus on enduring and wait for the right moment. That is the moment his opponent throws his strongest punch, as that will be the moment he will be at his most vulnerable, and he had to seize that moment. Just as Min-gyu's fist was about to reach him, he leaned sideways and handcuffed his hand, threw him down to the ground, and then started punching his face, which made all of Min-gyu's friends leave the office and run away as they got scared. After putting Min-gyu on the ground, Jae-ha told him that he was under arrest for illegal gambling, embezzlement, and assaulting an officer. He then handcuffed both his hands and said that right now he is under arrest as a criminal caught in the act. After capturing them, Jae-ho contacted the precinct and started to wait for the detective to arrive. But to his surprise, other police officers came and asked if he was the one who reported and told his subordinate to collect the CCTV. Jae-ho asks whether Detective Lee is coming or not, but the officer tells him that he does not know any detective by this name. Jae-ho tells him that he is a detective at the Gempo precinct. The officer tells him that he had no idea about Gwemp precinct as they were currently in Yongdong-po-gu jurisdiction. He then asked him whether he was the one who apprehended these people and asked if there were any signs of violence. Jae-ho says that there was a fight, but he was a student, and before he could finish speaking, the officer handcuffed him and told him to follow them to the precinct. At the precinct, he summarizes that the student who wanted to become a youth police officer was under a Gempo detective named Lee Yong-rim, and just as he was speaking, Detective Lee came and took Jae-ho with him after completing all the necessary formalities. As they were walking outside, why was that so? If the call was made from Yongdongpo, Then their local police responded. Detective Lee calls him stupid and tells him to go with him. Outside, Jae-ho started panicking, but the detective praised him for good work and then proceeded to tell him that it was true that there was a direct assault, and if the other person's body was injured, then he would be charged and may end up with up to 7 years in jail or a fine of 10 million won. Jae-ho asks then what will be about him joining the juvenile police. The detective tells him that if there was a criminal record, then he would not be able to become a police officer, and he had already told him at the beginning that it was not going to be easy. Jae-ha shouts and tells him not to act like this, as he had worked for half a year, trusting only him. The detective told him to stop being worried and follow him to a place. When Jae-ho asked about where they were going, the detective told him to wait patiently and that he would know once they arrived there. He then tells him to open YouTube and check out the latest news section. The news surprised Jae-ho as the news anchor was talking about how a student caught and arrested the gang leader of a youth gambling by himself, and his video of fighting with Mingyu was being shown. The news anchor further says that as everyone can see in the video, the student caught the group of youth gamblers alone, and since the assault occurred during the process, they are therefore investigating the circumstances. He saw comments where netizens said that they felt relieved, and some even asked about punishment. They also said that students who punish juvenile offenders have significant implications for society. After watching the video, Jae-ho panicked and asked the detective why his video was uploaded on the news. Detective Lee told him that it took some effort, but it was finally uploaded, and asked him if the reaction was a bit too much. He then asked him whether he remembered what he told him half a year ago, that he had clearly shown something acceptable to society, and that is what he was aiming for in the first place. He told him that the reason he trained him was not for him to become a juvenile police officer, but to create a performance where he would catch all those boys himself. As there had been lots of reactions due to this, and even within the police many had started to recognize him, and as the public opinion would come together with the reactions within the police, it would become a topic on everyone's lips, and when the topic gains more traction, then everything would end up with a proposal to recruit him. After a while, Detective Lee reports all this to Kim Yejin, the chief of the Gempo police station, and requests her approval. He told her Do Jae-ha is a friend of team member Lee Jong-hwan and is suitable in terms of physical strength and personality, and it was determined that he had sufficient qualifications to be hired outside of the quota. Chief Kim says to him that when she received this project from the main office, she handed it to him because no one else was willing to do it, but now he is doing things this way, ignoring all the manuals, and says that it seems unusually emotional for him and asks him if it is because of that incident. He replies that he simply made the best decision at hand and she would have nothing much to worry about. She then asks him if the boy is currently being investigated for assault. He tells her about Article 1, Paragraph 3, which authorizes juvenile police officers who are prohibited from carrying firearms to have direct authority from the director, which is the right to immunity against violence, and he plans to apply this provision during the investigation period. She tells him to keep in mind that he is already being monitored by the media, so he should not let anything go wrong. After a while, Detective Lee comes out and takes Jae-ho with him to the gym with other team members. On the way, he told him that he was hired but as an apprentice. As they arrived at the gym, two boys were sparring with each other. He tells Jae-ho that this will be the team that he will be learning with. A guy asked if he was the new guy after looking at Jae-ho. The detective tells him that he is not an employee yet but an apprentice who could become one. He then tells Jae-ho that his apprenticeship period is 2 weeks, and in these 2 weeks he must fulfill 2 conditions. The first is that both the team members must complete a mission with him, and he must receive a learning evaluation score of A. The second condition is that he must secure first place in the overall performance of the 24 juvenile police teams across Seoul. He tells him that if he fails to meet these 2 conditions, then not only would he fail to get hired, but he would also not be exempted from the assault charges. He further tells him that the basic system for juvenile police officers is a 3-person team because the judgment of minors can be immature, considering the difficulty of facing criminals directly. But their physical ability is selected carefully, and you are below average. As Jae-ho was sparring with Park Kyung-jun, he was having thoughts about giving up and that he was going to fail and he would have a criminal record. He was not able to dodge a single punch from Kyung-jun and kept getting beat around. As he was thinking this, Kyung-jun came in front of him and punched him in the face while saying that he thought that sparring was some sort of joke. As he falls to the ground, the clock timer hits 0, and the detective stops the sparring. Kyung-jun told him that he opposed this as he is very low tier and they would not be able to achieve anything, and if they would fail in a real situation because they would have to take care of him. Detective Lee remarks that this could happen, and he then proceeds to ask Ryutail about his opinion on Jaeho, who replies that he thinks that for now, he is a little lacking, but they should not push him too hard. He adds that it would be fine if he works well, as he did try to hold on. He then walks up to Jaeho and extends his arm to help him get up and says that they should try to work together. After the sparring session was over, as they were walking outside in the hall, Tail told the detective that they should just quietly send him off as this was lame. He says that physically he did not see any potential and asks him what exactly he intends to do with him. Detective Lee told him that he had a plan, and further adds that he decided to train Jaeho on a whim, and with just a suplex, he took down Mingyu, a veteran, in just 6 months, so it was not entirely luck. Tail told him that he understood what he was saying, but there are so many variables in real-life situations. Detective Lee started laughing and told him it was unfortunate if he felt that way, but there was nothing they could do as it had already been decided. Tail cursed in his mind and said, why would he bother asking in the first place then? They then walk into the interrogation room, and the detective apologizes to Mingyu for being late and then says that they should have a talk. As Jaeho was walking home, his whole body was aching, and he decided that next time he would definitely land a hit on Kyung-jun. He thought that he was going to act up for no reason, and then he would have to live his whole life with a criminal record, and just as he was thinking all this, he arrived home and he carefully entered the house to not wake up his dad, as if that would happen, then he would get beaten up. The next morning when he arrived at the precinct, a girl handed his access card to him and told him that he should not lose it at any cost as he would need it to enter, and he should carry it with him at all times. She inquires if he is the new trainee and then tells him to hang in there. Kyung-jun tried to flirt with the girl, but she told him to shut up as he was annoying. Jaeho asks her if there are other juvenile police teams, as his access card says that he is a member of Team 2. She told him that there are 3 juvenile teams in each district, and they are in the Mapo district. She further tells him that currently, since the juvenile police system is still on trial, they are only assigned in Central Seoul, or in other words, across the Han River. They then arrived at the gym, where the detective came and told them he was going to brief them regarding the new mission. He tells them that after doing some investigation, he found out that Mingyu was not the leader of the gambling ring and had a separate place to raise funds. He told them that their next target was the guy above him. He then shows them a short video of a chubby kid. He is not their target and he is a victim, and the key point there is who was recording. Their target is 19-year-old Moon Jong-bin, who was a popular guy on Instagram with over 300k followers. His main income comes from social media, video ads, and gambling sites. He baits the nerds with fake concepts, and when they film videos, he slips into the gambling site. In total, he makes around the price of a foreign car per month. And this guy was moving with a group who all owed him gambling debts, and there was no point for those nerds to try resisting as things would get messy. He told them the victim was not just one kid, and it was highly likely there were many others. He told them that their mission was to gather all the crime data related to Moon Jong-bin and bring him down while rescuing all the victims. Kyung-jun suggests that they should just go and beat them all up as they were all criminals anyway. Tail told him that there was not enough evidence and they did not have a warrant, so they would not be able to justify it. Kyung-jun suggested that they should look for a law that works for this situation. Tail told him that he was the problem, and it appeared to him that he just become a cop just to beat people up. He then says that it is hard to find illegal gambling sites with just a police badge, and they should first trace down the victims in the video, as after figuring out their identities, it would be easier to form a strategy. Detective Lee points out that they would not be able to get their personal info as the site is foreign. He then asks Jaeho to speak up if he has any ideas. After thinking for a while, Jaeho says that he might have a way to find out that guy. As the chubby kid was returning home from school, he was quite happy as one of his fangirls had requested him to meet up with her. And this made him extremely happy, but he was surprised to see 3 guys standing in front of him. Tail greets him and tells him that his nickname is Jinju and he would like to talk about Moon Jong-bin. But before he could finish speaking, the guy started running away from them. Jaeho shouts at him to stop, but Kyung-jun tells him to stop worrying, as that guy would not be able to run away far. Tail is very fast when it comes to running, and as they were speaking, Tail had already caught up with the kid and stopped him. Kyung-joon then says to Jae-ho that he did not think the plan would work, but it really did. He then asked him whose fake profile picture he used. Jae-ho told him that he used an AI generated images as they could not use real pictures recklessly. Kyung-joon gives him a thumbs up, saying that it was a pretty clever idea. As the chubby kid was struggling and shouting about what was going on, Tail told him that they were not there to interrogate him and that they had come because they received a tip about Moon Bin's criminal activities, so he should not stay silent as that would hurt him, and he should be cooperating with them. After a while, all of them sat in a cafe and the guy told them he did not mean to start this in the first place and that he only made some dumb stuff with his friends, but when one of his videos got a lot of attention, he was approached by Moon Bin and told him to work for him as his short videos got a lot of views. Tail asked him if they could not understand everything, as there were videos of when he was screaming in the subway and running around in just his underwear, and told him that there was not any legal contract, so why would he have to go this far? The kid told them that he had to suck up all the views he could. Otherwise, those guys would spread the nude pictures that they took, so he had no choice but to do as they told him to do. Kyung-joon remarked that these guys were more messed up than he thought. He then says that now that they have enough recording, they should just storm in. Tail told him that it was still not enough as other victims were suffering like this. He then says that they would use Jae-ho as bait to get them to reveal their true identities. He told him that they would be watching from a distance through a minicam, which he installed in his shirt button. He told him to gather intel and they would take it from there. Jae-ho went into their office with the chubby kid who introduced him as his friend and said that he would be recording videos with him. He takes him to a room in the hallway and tells him that they should first greet the guy in charge and then proceed to knock on the door and call Jong Bin, who opens the door and asks what he wants. He says to him that he brought a friend with him, so they were here to greet him. Jae-ho greets and then looks into the room where another person is sitting and wonders who she is. Jong Bin told them to get lost as he was busy and then shut the door. Just as they were about to head towards one of the rooms for filming, a big guy came to stop them and stared at Jae-ho before touching his jacket and asking where he got that and saying that it was too small for him, so he could not steal it. Jae-ho told him that he got it in a sale. The guy then told them that they should hand over their phones as there was a filming phone inside. As Jae-ho was taking out his phone from his pocket, his access card also fell on the floor. The guy picked it up and was surprised that it was that of a juvenile police. Just as he called Jae-ho a bastard and was about to walk towards him, Jae-ho punched him in the face and was about to punch him again when a guy from the side kicked him away. Tail and Kyung-joon were shocked after seeing the feed. Jae-ho got up and apologized to Tail and Kyung-joon and told them to get there as fast as they could. He had caught enough evidence, and now they just needed to arrest these criminals. Just then Jong Bin also came out of the room, asking why the hell there was so much noise. Jae-ho took a fighting stance and told Tail and Kyung-joon. Jong Bin mocked him for saying that he had caught a criminal in the act and asked if he had come into their office to rob them. He then demands the search warrant from him since he is a cop and asks about the charges that he was going to be pressing against them. Jae-ha told him that he was blackmailing kids and taking video profits from them and forcing them to keep making more videos so he could earn more, and he was also running a gambling site. Jong Bin denies those actions and says that they should check who was right and started the live stream. He then told his viewers that just when he was going to shoot with newcomer Jae-young, a juvenile police officer showed up, accusing him of running a gambling site and stealing newcomer's money. He then asks Jae-young if he had ever done that. Jae-ha called him insane and said that since it had come to this, then it was even better for him to be exposed on the live stream. He told Jae-young to not be afraid and clear this right now. But Jae-young was shaking, and in the end he said that Jong Bin had never taken any money from him. Hearing this, Jong Bin started laughing and then told Jae-ha to get out of their office, as if he would not leave. Then things were going to get worse. Just then a boy walked in the room and shouted excitedly to Jong Bin that he had just won 301 shot, and even though his opponent had a full house, he still won after he pulled a 4 of a kind, and then he inquired about why the mood was so dull here. Hearing this, all the people in the live stream started commenting that he did run a gambling site and started dropping messages saying the juvenile police should clear this thing for them. Jong Bin shouted angrily at the boy, saying that he had ruined everything and he was going to beat him up after this. He then gives orders to the boys to kill both Jae-ha and Jae-young. As the boys were about to rush to Jae-ha, Kyung-jun and Tail arrived there and beat up two of them who were ahead of the others, which shocked Jongbim and the others. Tail remarks that it was good that they were nearby. Kyung-gun said that they were going to take care of all. Tail told him to handle the big guy and he would take care of the rest of them, and then proceeded to tell Jae-ha to keep an eye on Jongbim, and they would take care of everything else. As he looks towards the three boys, he realizes that two of them were just pretending to be tough and the guy leading was a southpaw boxing style user, so he decides to hit the dude in the center and sprints towards him, which shocks them, and then punches the boy in the middle in the face. He then crouches to avoid the incoming punch from the other skinny boy and then gets him on the jaw with a jab. He immediately grabbed the boy and swung him towards the incoming fat guy who came shouting at him and then immediately created some distance between them. Tail proceeds to dodge the combos thrown by the guy and realizes that all the combos are exactly the same, so it was going to be easier for him to counter him. As another hook came towards him, he stepped aside and then grappled his hand and swung him on his back and slammed him on the ground. He then blurts out that she should have eaten more at breakfast, as he has a naturally weak body. As he was done with this, some other guys came running in the room, and the fight between Kyung-jun and the big guy was still continuing, which was making the big guy desperate as he had punched Kyung-jun so many times, yet he was still not going down. To mock him further, Kyung-jun told him that if he was done hitting him, then he was going to punch him with his 100% power, and with that, as the big guy was running towards him, he landed a punch on his face which sent him flying backwards. Tail was getting anxious as the number of boys there was increasing, and he felt that if they kept being tangled here for long, it would not be any good for them. As Jongbim decided to get out of there and head to the safe house, Jae-ha blocked his way, saying that he was not going to let him get away. Jongbim asks him what makes him so confident that he could stop him. Jae-ha laughs and says that he could easily beat him and asks him if he was scared. Jongbom threw a punch at him, which was blocked by Jae-ha, who realized that although it hurt, compared to Min-gyu, it was nothing. He then lunges forward and grabs him to throw him over, but Jongbim took out a knife and slashed at his hand with it, and blood started dripping from the wound. Jae-ha failed to realize that crime scenes are always different and there are many variables, and the current situation was one of those variables. Jongbim says that he was going to just push through and get out of here now, and as he ran towards Jae-ha with the knife in his hand, Jae-ha got overwhelmed by the fact that it was his first time facing a weapon and overdriven by his survival instinct and fear of death, that he would die if he got hit by the knife. He made the worst possible move in the situation and jumped sideways to avoid it, which gave Jongbim and others who said that all the big talk was for nothing, and then told his friends to get out of there, and they all ran away. Tail called Officer Lee and told him they had lost Jongbim as he charged at them with a knife, and Jae-ha failed to stop him, and it looked difficult for him to continue the mission in his current condition. So he was going to wrap things up and return as it was pointless to continue the mission, and he would report everything in person. He then walked to Jae-ha and asked him why he was not quitting this job and continued that he did not say that in their first meeting, but he did not seem to have a knack for this job. He told him that if this continues, then in most dangerous situations he would not be able to handle it, and then it was only a matter of time before he got removed from the team, and said that he should think about if he really wanted to be a police officer or not. Jae-ha thought that was it. It was really over for him. Just then, Kyung-jun called Tail over as a girl came out of the other room and asked if she was free to go. Tail told her that it was fine now as they all are youth police officers and asked her about her connection with Jongbim. She told him that she met him as a fan on Star, and he suggested that they should collaborate on shorts, so she came over to his office, but instead of filming, he tried to overpower her, and then she started sobbing again. Jae-ha suddenly got up and ran outside the building, which surprised them, and Kyung-jun asked whether he should chase after him. But Tail told him not to, as in his current state they would not be able to catch Jongbim, so they should secure the evidence first. Jae-ha was running on the streets thinking that he had to catch Jongbim at any cost when his phone rang, and it was Officer Lee who contacted him and asked him where he was. As Tail told him that he suddenly left, Jae-ha told him that it was his fault that Jongbim escaped, and at this rate he was going to ruin everything. Officer Lee told him to calm down and asked if his resolve was really this weak. He further says that fieldwork was always a series of unpredictable situations, and sometimes things could happen that they could not take responsibility for. He adds on that, however, despite all the mishaps, only fighting forward relentlessly was the essence of being a police officer and told him that it was still not too late, so he should get his head straight. Jae-ha asked him what he should do now. Officer Lee told him that he had gotten a lead on Jongbim, as now he was considered a fugitive, so it was easy to track him and check his records, and there are a total of 3 registered offices of Jongbim. One was the place they had just raided, another was the officetel run by Min-gyu, and the last one was the same gambling den where his friend Lee Young-hwan had his accident. As Jongbim arrived at his safe house with one of his friends, he smacked him, shouting that it was all his fault that now they were in this situation, and the boy apologized to him. He then told him to take care of it and went inside the apartment and started searching for his bag in the drawer and found his stash of money. He then saw the notifications on his phone where there was news on a popular forum about him running a gambling site and how he blackmailed other creators, which fueled his anger even more. He then decided to deal with this later, as his reputation can be built again as long as he has enough money. As he was about to leave the apartment, he heard a thud and saw that the boy who was standing guard at the entrance was knocked out cold, and he was surprised to see Jae-ha standing there, which amused him. He asked him why he was here again and if he wanted to die, and someone shouted at him that he had found him. Jongbim had taken out his knife again, but Jae-ha rushed at him and threw pepper powder in his eyes, which made Jongbim start to cough while cussing at him. And as he was struggling, Jae-ha punched him in the face, causing him to stagger backwards. Jae-ha immediately rushed at him to kick him, but Jongbim ducked and stabbed at his leg, causing him to fall to the ground, and he immediately got up and, even though he was still unable to see clearly, ran outwards, realizing that if he got caught by Jae-ha, then it would be over for him. As he got outside, his eyes were still burning, and he could not see clearly in front of him, which caused him to bump into a guy, spilling his drink. The boy then tried to grab him while saying that he should watch where he was going, and he bumped into him so suddenly that he was unable to avoid him, and now his clothes are dirty. Jongbim started swearing, which angered the boy, who said that this kid is a student but has such a foul language. The girl with the boy tried to calm him down, saying that they should just leave, as students these days are dangerous. Just then Jongbim snatched the drink from the girl's hands and poured it onto his face, and then said that he could finally see clearly now. He then walked to the boy, calling him old man, and gave him some money, and told him to just let it go and that he was sorry for bumping into him and he would pay for the damages, and since they were both busy, they should just go on their ways. The boy grabbed him, saying that he was really rude, which angered him, and he told him that he had already paid him and what more did he want? He told him to let go, and just as he was about to punch him, Jae-ha tackled him away from the boy on the street, angering Jongbim even more, who started shouting that now his face is known and he could not even run away now as people started clicking pictures of him and recording videos, wondering if a fight was going on. He then looked towards Jae-ha, calling him a bastard, and said that now he was going to beat him up and asked him just what he had done wrong with him for him to chase after him like a maniac. Did he kill his family member or what? Jae-ha took off his jacket and told him that a boy could not get up and that boy was his friend, and he wore the jacket just on his hands and kept it in front of him and told Jongbim to come at him. This action of his surprised Jongbim, who wondered why he suddenly dressed like that. Jae-ha wondered if his idea was going to work, and Jongbim ran at him with his knife to stab him, but he blocked it with his jacket and shrugged it aside, and another time he blocked his knife again and pushed Jongbim back. Jongbim could barely see, and he realized that Jae-ha wore his jacket backwards to block his knife. Jae-ha's quick thinking was a wise decision, as he was able to use his jacket to cushion the knife's impact and obstruct his opponent's view, and he was taunting Jongbim like a matador fighting a bull. Jongbim again rushed at him with full force and tore into his jacket with his knife, but he failed to stab at Jae-ha, and Jae-ha grabbed his hands and tried to lift him off to slam him into the ground, but Jongbim kicked him in the face, causing him to fall backwards. He then jumped up and kicked Jongbim in the face, knocking him to the ground. Jongbim then walked towards him and praised him for his smart decision and asked him if he got anything more and told him to try that trick again as he grabbed his hair and lifted him up from the ground and told him that if he was not going to resist, then he should just die. Jae-ha thought it was over, but suddenly a fire burned inside him, and he grabbed the incoming knife with his hand, causing it to stab into his hand, but he held on to it, thinking he was not going to let go of him even if he died. This action of his surprised Jongbim, causing him to shout at him, asking if he was crazy and why he was blocking the knife with his hand, and asking him if he thought it would be over if he just blocked it once. Jae-ha told him that he was going to hold him and then shouted, calling out Tail's name and asking if it was enough, which shocked Jongbim. Tail came running on the street, praising Jae-ha, saying that he had done a good job, and asking if he was too late. He then jumped up and kicked Jongbim in the face, knocking him to the ground. He then asked Jae-ha if he was alright and told him that he should not pull out the knife for now and should apply some pressure on it to stop bleeding. He then asked him what he was thinking and why suddenly ran out alone and caused this mess and got hurt badly. After some more scolding, he then praised him for catching the real culprit, and they shook hands. As Jongbim was getting arrested, he thought back to how this all started because one day one of his friends suggested he open an account on SNS as he was good looking so he would get lots of followers easily, and so he opened one and subscribers exploded. Models, PPL, illegal ads, and several other things that make money came his way, and then those guys came who gave him a lot of money and told him to grow his channel even more. So he set up an office and hired some muscle-headed guys to work for him. And afterwards he saw that even nerdy and weak students from his school were getting a lot of likes. So he wanted to take their money as well, as it was human nature and greed had no end. So he immediately recruited those idiots and forced them to work for him under unfair contracts and exploited them like slaves, and if they resisted, then he would just take it by force, but now he got arrested because of an idiot. As he was being put into the police vehicle, he shouted at Jae-ha that he was soon going to get out and he was going to kill him for real then, as he had remembered his face now. Tail told Jae-ha not to mind it, as those were empty threats and most criminals acted like that, but got shocked at seeing Jae-ha, who was clearly shaking out of fear but still tried to act tough as he showed a finger to Tail. Tail then told him to go ahead, and he would handle the aftermath with the paramedics. Just then those boys whom they had rescued before came and said thank you to Jae-ha. As he was going back through the bus, he thought about how it was the first time that someone had thanked him. He then took out his phone and messaged the team leader that everything had been done and he was now going to the hospital, who replied to him that he had done a good job and sent him a video saying that he should watch this. He saw that the video was an interview of his friend Young Hwan, causing him to laugh, and decided to tease him with this after he wakes up as it was super funny, but later got angry at him, calling him a bastard when he answered one of the questions, saying that his friend's grades were even worse than his, and seeing him pushes him to work harder. And to the last question, which asked him why he wanted to become a police officer, he replied that he was from a place called Daldongan and his friend also lived there. He said that his parents were alcoholic and to avoid their shouting, he would stay out of the house until they fell asleep, and some neighborhood guys would come to ask him for money, and when he did not have any, he would just get beaten up. So he decided to become strong to protect himself, and he could also save someone from living a life like his. He said that to him being a police officer was proof of himself, as he wanted to give hope to those who were in difficult situations to live on. Seeing this video made Jae-ha realize the feeling he got when those boys thanked him, and he decided to become a police officer as he would also be useful for someone in this world. As Jae-young and his friends were walking to their homes, one of the boys said that he wondered if they were truly free now. Jae-young replied that they were, as the police had seized all of Jongbim's accounts and his computers. His other friend praised him, saying that he was really amazing as he even published this, to which he replied that he did not, and after seeing the post he wondered just who did. On another street, the girl that was saved by juvenile police was talking with someone on the phone, and she told him that he got caught and youth police were already there before she posted and said that she had also reported him for sexual assault. The guy on the phone praised her, calling her Minji, and said that he was going to discard Jongbim anyways after he was no longer useful. So it all turned out to be well, and then told her that they would discuss it further in their next meeting and hung up, which caused Minji to curse him, saying that this bastard always hangs up after saying what he wanted. She then wondered if it was going to be troublesome, as youth police were now involved. After the Jongbim case, Jae-ha took a 2-week rest from his trainee period due to his hand injury, and during that time he trained with Tail to improve himself. In the gym we see Jae-ha and Tail practicing together, and Tail saying that he was still weak and needed to improve his strength. Suddenly Jae-ha turned around and hit Tail's jaw with his elbow, which caught him off guard, and he then praised him, saying that was unexpected and he did not see that coming, which made him realize that Jae-ha was growing little by little. As Jae-ha ran at him again, Tail grabbed him and put him into a lock, which made him immediately tap out, and he remarked that a little is all he grew. He told him that he had definitely improved compared to before. Jae-ha asked him where Kyung-jun was, as he had not seen him for the past few days. Tail told him that he was working so that they would manage to meet the quota, saying that there were many petty criminals so he was dealing with them, He told him that they had been working hard to get him through this trainee period, so he should also focus on his training and recovery. They then went to the cafeteria for food, as it was lunchtime. There Jae-ha was eating very fast, and Tail asked him if it was really tasty, to which he replied that it was tasteless garbage and added that it was so bad that it was good. Tail felt embarrassed at this scene and averted his gaze. He told Jae-ha that he could eat a lot, as this was a police-only cafeteria. Jae-ha said that it was really great that they got free food and said that police life is awesome. He then said that it was great that even youth officers like themselves got the same benefits as police officers, to which Tail also nodded approvingly. Jae-ha suddenly asked him how the juvenile system came into effect, to which he replied that he was not clear on the details, but according to rumors, it was due to excessive use of force on minors by adults and some internal police politics that played a role in this. He added that only the uppermost ranks in the police knew about the full story. Jae-ha asked him if the uppermost ranks referred to the chief of police or something. Tail responded by saying, "Yeah, it usually refers to those at the ranks of superintendent or so," and he called them big shots. Jae-ha then suddenly asked him that if he were to climb all the way to the chief of police, then that should make him the first juvenile police officer to do such a thing. Tail told him that it would likely be the case, as the juvenile system was new, so there was no precedent for that. They then went to their team leader asking about the details, who told them that it was not a job that anyone could get and even he could not get it. Jae-ha asked him how it worked then. He explained to him that the chief of police was usually at least at the deputy commissioner general level. It was a position where they would evaluate every aspect of the police. He told him that he was not even a full-fledged police officer yet, so dreaming of being chief was kind of delusional for him, and he told him that he also sucked at studying, so it was even ridiculous of him to think that, and he started laughing. Tail, on the side, thought to himself that this guy was really unrealistic. The team leader then asked Jae-ha about why he suddenly decided on becoming the chief. Jae-ha told him that he had changed after coming here and now he really wanted to become a police officer, and since he was going to be a police officer, he wanted to be the best there. Tail tried to explain to him that it was really hard, but the team leader stopped him and told Jae-ha that he should try his best and he would cheer for him. Tail asked him if they had to graduate from the police academy to become chief, right? To which he replied that though most of the chiefs had graduated from the police academy, not all of them had. He then added that he also liked that kind of reckless ambition and then wondered out loud if it was what people called goals nowadays. Tail then teased him, saying that promotion exams are insanely hard and he sucks at studying. Jae-ha told him that once he became the chief, then he and the team leader would work under him and started laughing, which caused Tail to refute. On the side, the team leader thought to himself, although he encouraged Jae-ha to become chief, the reality is very different as a lot of dirty work is involved, and one day he would have to step over him as well. While looking at Jae-ha, he questioned internally whether he would be able to step over him or not. Just then Kyung-joon arrived as Tail and Jae-ha were arguing. He then told the team leader to come downstairs for a bit and told him that they got a call and had brought in a few students, but the situation was troublesome. At the reception 2 students were sitting. One was a skinny guy while the other was a bulky guy who looked like a fighter, and the police officer asked the skinny one if what he heard was correct, that he got injured like this by getting punched in the face, but he did not want to hold the other party accountable. The bulky guy got irritated at this and shouted that they should just do it by the books now, saying that he did not care if he would get punished for this, but he was going to spill everything now. But the skinny guy hurriedly said that he did not want to escalate this and wanted to pretend like it never happened. The bulky guy punched him in the face, saying, "How dare this jerk try to give him orders?" which shocked the police officer, who got off his seat, saying, "Is this little punk crazy? He hit someone in the police station." The bulky guy ignored him and put his foot on the face of the skinny guy who was lying on the floor and said that he could arrest him if he wanted, but he should just think it through, as if it were to be investigated, then he would not be the only person who would get into trouble, and started laughing like crazy. After a while we witnessed Tail, Kyung-joon, and Jae-ha tailing the bulky guy who was talking with someone on the phone and saying very loudly that it was pretty much wrapped up and asking what they could possibly do and saying they would just have to bow down like crazy or else they would get screwed, and starting laughing. Jae-ha said that this guy was so loud that even at this distance they could hear his every word clearly. Kyung-joon, who was clearly annoyed at this situation, said that this kid was all talk. Jae-ha then asked why they were tailing him. Tail told them that the team leader had asked them to follow the perpetrator, saying that although it was an assault case, the victim was afraid of pressing any charges while the perpetrator was adamant that they should get punished, and it seemed fishy, and told them to find out about who he was and what he did, and had given them permission to take action as needed if things would escalate. Tail then reminded Kyung-joon to avoid direct confrontation as much as possible and told both of them that they needed to get the necessary information and leave. Jae-ha then said that the guy was going into a building that was a teen club. They then got into the club, and Tail said that they should split up and gather some intel, as staying together would prove to be tough there. After a while, Jae-ha decided that he really had to get out of here, and as he was going, he saw Kyung-joon dancing and enjoying whom he called, and they grouped together again. Tail said that they had now confirmed that the big guy was the bouncer, so now they should just look around for anything suspicious like drugs, alcohol, or any illegal item, and then head out. He told them to just secretly record if they found anything and then leave. As he was looking around, he realized that everyone present there just wanted to show off. But to his surprise, they were all clean and were just drinking cola and all. At the entrance, the guard even checked them for cigarettes, and they had nothing illegal going on around here, and he thought they had misread the situation and there was nothing wrong here. But he quickly dismissed the idea by recalling the incident in the police station where that guy acted so weird. But then he composed himself and decided not to overthink about this for now, and they should just head back. As he was walking ahead while thinking about and looking around, he failed to see that there was a tall guy standing in front of him, and he bumped into him. As he did, the guy said out loud that they had something interesting going on there and then pointed over to Jae-ha and Kyung-joon and said that they were with him as well and then asked what he wanted and wondered if he needed a girl, as they were just wandering around without ordering anything or dancing and were just scoping the place. Tail replied that it was something like this, no one was his type. The guy then put his hand on his soldier and said that he could set him up with something and then asked in a low voice if cops were allowed to look for girls in a place like this. He then signaled the DJ to stop the music, which made people to start shouting that why did the music stop, and just then two bouncers grabbed Jae-ha and two grabbed Kyung-joon. Then the guy introduced himself as Park Gwang-wi, who was the owner of this club, to Tail and asked that just what bring them here. Jae-ha looked at him and wondered just what was this guy, as his muscles did not seem to belong to a human. He then said that he was sure that they were not here to party and said that he had heard that his employees got questioned earlier and then asked if it was really necessary to go this far for this petty stuff. Tail thought to himself that they already knew why they were there and then calmly said that whether it was serious or not was for them to decide and added that there was no need to create such a fuss to cut music. The guy said then told him to take his friends and get the hell out of his club and said that this country's civil servants were worst as they never cracked down on the freeloaders and would just hassle those who were actively paying taxes. Tail looked him in the eye and said that if he truly was innocent then there was no need for this and asked if he was feeling guilty. The guy said that coming into his club and stirring things up was incredibly offensive to their image and called them fake cops. Just then Kyung-joon took down the two bouncers that were grabbing by holding one's arm and twisting and grabbing another's neck in his arms and said that the way he was talking was so grating and said that if it was not because of law then he would have been dragged into the streets and got beaten up and that making all this noise was annoying. Gwang-wi commented that acting all tough with their fake badges was real impressive and then asked how much could he lift if he did workout. Kyung-joon answered him that he did 400 the week before, which made Gwang-wi chuckle, and he asked if he did not took steroids, which angered Kyung-joon, but before he could say anything, Gwang-wi punched him in the gut saying that he was already hitting 400 before he even touched anything. Kyung-joon did not even flinched by his punch and said that he threw the first punch and added that from then on it was going to be self-defense while calling him a junkie. And just as he was about to hit him, Tail intervened, pushing him to the side, and told him to calm down while Gwang-wi pretended that it was not intentional. Tail then said that they did not come here to fight and apologized for any inconvenience that happened because of them and added that they would be leaving now. Gwang-wi said that it was a smart decision and invited them to come over next time as customers, and he would hook them up with pretty girls. And as they came outside the club, Kyung-joon immediately knelt while saying that as much as he hates to admit it, that punch from earlier made him unable to breathe and added that he had never seen such a confident steroid user before and concluded that at this rate, it would be impossible for them to take him down. At the police station, Officer Lee Yong-rim went over the details again and then looked at Kyung-joon and asked him about why was he making the long face. Tail told him that he got into a scuffle at the club and got outmatched, and Kyung-joon shouted that he should not have stopped him and now it would look like that he lost. Tail said that jumping into a fight there without a plan would have been a losing move, and that guy was very composed, so it seemed like he was used to these kinds of situations and would have slipped away even if we had managed to catch him. He then said nothing particularly stood out about that teen club, and the only weird thing was how did Gwangwi knew about their arrival. Officer Lee Yong-rim said that it had caught him off guard as well, and is a mystery about how he found that out, and added that with their identities exposed it would not be easy, but whether it was good luck or bad luck, he was not sure yet, and then said had got some surprise for them. Just then another team of juvenile police officers arrived there, which was Mapo Team 1. He then said Jae-ha to go do introductions, who was surprised to see a female in that team, and then Lee Yong-rim stated that for the teen club case, Team 1 and Team 2 would be working together as a joint operation, and then said that he had called them today just for general introductions and would discuss the details of the mission soon. After everyone left, he stopped Jae-ha and told him that for this mission, he had to catch Gwangwi himself because whoever catches him would get the most credit, and Team 1 was ranked first among the youth police teams in performance, and while he was out, Kyung-joon worked hard, so there was not much gap between their teams, and it was the perfect opportunity for him to secure his spot as full-fledged juvenile police officer, and added that this case was competitive investigation under the guise of teamwork, so he should not miss this chance. As Jae-ha was walking home, he thought about it, and the more he thought, the more he felt that it would be impossible to beat that guy himself, as that guy's build was not high school level. Meanwhile, Gwangwi was talking with someone on the phone and told him how those damned cops came to his place and thanked him for the heads up. The guy on the other end asked if he was actually going to shut down the place, as that would be funny, but he said that although it pisses him off, he had to lay low for the sake of the business for now, but that did not mean that he would let it slide, as he had already sent some boys after the three of them who came to his club and said that he would make sure to have them know about the consequences they had to face if they messed with his business. We witnessed Kyung-joon, Tail, and Jae-ha surrounded by several boys. Jae-ha asked them who they were and thought they were Gwangwi's lackeys. The boys confirmed that he was one of them, and after that decided to break a few of his bones and just beat him enough so that he would avoid them in the future, and ran towards him. And as one of the boys punched Jae-ha in the face, he was surprised as it did not hurt him at all, and then he counterattacked the guy by slamming him onto the ground while laughing, and this act of his was no fluke. It was the accumulation of training he had done with Tail and Yong-rim and the string of incidents he had gone through, and was the result of his hard work. He started laughing while calling the guys crazy punk as they dared to mess with the police, and then stated that they were twerps who were going to get beaten up by him. On the other hand, after Tail took down all the thugs, he outdowned the last guy in a neck choke and asked if Gwangwi had sent them, but the guy said that they did not know who hired them and they just received the money and the task, and begged him to let him go as he was losing his consciousness, and he thought that they had no choice but to lock these people up and interrogate them, and then thought that Kyung-joon would have no problem, and just as he thought this, Kyung-joon was shown sitting above all the guys that had came after him after beating them up, but he was worried about Jae-ha and wondered if he should call him. Jae-ha started running while acting all tough a few minutes ago as the boys ganged up on him to beat him up, and he kept thinking that he should have just shut up and ran from the beginning, and then he slipped and fell down and the guys got all over him and started kicking him. Just then the girl from Team 1 arrived there and kicked one of the guys in the face, and Jae-ha called her by name, which angered her, and she shouted at him that why the hell was she talking informally with her, and if he wanted to die. She then punched another guy and picked him up and slammed him onto the ground, and the last guy was afraid of her and thought to himself if she really was a girl. Park Yerin was the specialist for Team 1 with a total of 19 wins and 0 losses in domestic and international level judo competitions. She then asked Jae-ha if he was hurt anywhere. He answered that he was okay, and then thought to himself that now she was talking to him informally. She then said that since things were all wrapped up, then she would take her leave. But Jae-ha thought to himself that this was an opportunity and immediately stopped her and said her to help him become strong, but she told him to get lost. Jae-ha then apologized for speaking informally, but she interrupted him saying that they were on different teams and were competing for results, and just now she only helped because they were co-workers. Just then, one of the guys' phones started ringing, and Jae-ha picked it up and heard the voice of Gwangwi from the other end, who was shouting about why none of them were picking up the calls and had they just taken his money and then forgotten about the work. Jae-ha said that he knew that he was that steroid user from before, which shocked him, and then continued that he should just wait a bit as he would be there soon with a warrant, and told him to get ready to clean up his act. After the call ended, Yerin asked what he was going to do now, as at his current level he was no match for that guy. Jae-ha said that he knew this and he knew that he was an idiot, but it did not mean that he would just sit there and do nothing, and added that he could not afford to be a burden to his teammates, so he had to get stronger anyhow. Yeren thought for a bit and then said that his legs were way too weak for a boy and added that judo was all about leg strength and asked him if he was a popsicle stick or what. Before leaving, she told him to be at the gym at 9 a.m. the next day. Jae-ha immediately thanked her, and before leaving, she said that she did not like him, but she did respect his attitude, as he knew about his weakness and was willing to work on it. And this was one of the fundamentals a martial artist needed, and said that since they were short on time, then they would be going at it hard, and said that in return he should hand over Gwangwi to them. Tail handed over the guys to Officer Lee Yong-rim and said that there was a mole in the police force, as they knew about them, which was why they kept catching up to them, and then said that these people were too systematic and moved like a gang and were not from the club either, and concluded that there could be someone higher up pulling their strings, as some adult could be involved in this. Lee Yong-rim said that for now he would treat these guys as a separate case and would not tell other teams about this and would figure something out by himself. After that, he went to Incheon Port to a clams shop and thought that he had not been there for a while. As he walked in the store, one of the worker there said that they were closed for that day, so he should return the next day. Lee Yong-rim asked if he knew Jeom Boziak of the Daegun gang. The guy walked toward him, saying that he had never heard of such a person, and asked him if he was not there for dinner. Lee Yong-rim said that he was not there to cause trouble, so they should bring out their boss. The guy grabbed Lee Yong-rim's collar, laughing, and said that he had no idea what he was talking about, but then asked him which gang he was from, and said that he should keep quiet. Officer Lee Yong-rim grabbed his hand and pressed his so hard that the guy knelt, and said that he would not knew about him as he had never seen him before, and then introduced himself as Sergeant Lee Yong-rim from Gumpo Police Station and told him to call his boss. As Jae-ha hung up on Gwangwi, he started fuming with anger, saying that he hated getting interrupted the most, and said to one of his guys to call the manager and have him gather the kids and gather a ton of alcohol. But the guy said that the manager had said he would stay quiet for a while, which angered Gwangwi, and he grabbed his face and said that now even this bastard was interrupting him and asked if he thought that he was an idiot, and then threw him to the ground and said that they were heading straight to the club, saying that if that bastard cop wanted to catch him, then let him try. As Jae-ha was walking with Yeren, he was surprised to know that both of their houses were in the same neighborhood. Yeren told him to say hi to her whenever he sees her in the future, as she was also from around there, which made Jae-ha thought that why did it sound like that she did not want him to say hi, but he should do it anyway. She then asked him why he wanted to learn judo, as there were plenty of other martial arts. He told her that his team leader had taught him a bit of judo once, which made her immediately praise the team leader, and she called him an ace and said she envies his team, as their leader did not care at all, and that was the case for almost all the teams other than his. He asked her if team leader Yong-rim was famous, and she replied that of course he was, and said that he was really amazing, as he was a police academy graduate and was even mentioned as a candidate for police chief, and mentioned that although he was a sergeant now, his original rank was 3 levels higher, and people said that there was some incident in the past. Meanwhile, at the restaurant in Incheon, after Lee Yong-rim made the guy leave, the other workers also started to attack him, but he dodged and kicked one of them and then palm strike one of them in the face. Just then the guys grabbed him from the behind, and another one tried to hit him, but he dodged it and then punched the guy in the face and then twirled around and slammed the guy holding him onto the ground. Afterwards, when their boss appeared, he made them all sit on their knees while raising their hands, and he asked the boss if he was using students for running errands these days, and the guy said he did not know what he was talking about and did not know that with low birth rates, messing around with kids would cause him trouble. This angered Lee Yong-rim, so he made a fist and told him to keep going. But the guy immediately apologized and called him Hyung, and then said he had already sorted all this back in Seoul and now they were living quietly. He then added that not only were they not touching kids, but they were more out of control than them, and said that he had heard that in Seoul some idiots were going around playing gangsters and these kids were far more cruel and ruthless. Lee Yong-rim asked him that what did he meant by them playing gangsters, to which the guy replied that he had heard that in the last 2 to 3 years, the kids were running illegal businesses in an organized way, and said that he just did not know the name, so Lee Yong-rim said that it was now his task to find out about its name and should educate the kids as well while he was at it, and then left. The boss cursed that he just came and gave orders and left as he pleased while his workers asked who this guy was. He kept cursing that why did this bastard got involved in this. After walking out of the restaurant, Lee Yong-rim thought to himself that if it was 2 to 3 years ago, then it fits the timeline and it must be because of that, and in the end it all connects, and then decided to have a soju as it had been a while since he had some. As Jae-ha began his training in the gym the next day, Yeren just kept slamming him onto the floor and his ears felt ringing, and he realized that this must be the difference in level and his body was paining although the mat had cushioned the impact. Yeren then asked him if he was hearing the ringing sound in his ears and said that what she did was completely base the center of gravity on his lower body and then throw him with intent, and added that she was going to teach him two things: how to control his balance and how to strengthen his muscles, and they were going to train from then on until the sun sets. She said that he should get ready to win for real or should die trying, and then threw him again, which shocked Jae-ha. After nearly a week of training, Jae-ha got a real hang of it and thought about why was he enduring it, and remembered that he was doing this all because of Jong-hwan. Just then Yeren said to take a rest for 20 minutes and said that he was doing good, praised him for his guts, and told him to focus a little more, as not only him but the other teams were also aiming for number 1. Jae-ha asked if being number 1 was really that important, as he was doing it to become a cop. She told him that you would get a lot of money if you became number 1, which shocked him, and he asked if it was okay for them to give this much money to public servants, and said that a public servant wasn't supposed to live with a thin and long thread of life. She said that there was quite a bit of internal conflict regarding this, and one of the higher-ups had given a clear answer on this, saying that the juvenile police were part of the system of youths and they were different from the rotting cartel that was the police academy, and its aim was to give real-life training to experienced new recruits, and these kids would risk their lives fighting crime, so to undermine their worth in the name of patriotism was an outdated way of thinking. She then said that because of this there were going to be institutional reforms which would start with the juvenile police, and then smacked him on the back, which hurt him a lot, and said to hold on with pride, as what they were doing was not something just anyone could do. Jae-ha then asked her that if it meant that she was also aiming for first place, was it really okay for her to help him? Hearing his question, Yeren punched him and said that he should just say thank you and move and should not ask so many questions, as it felt like she was being interrogated, prompting him to ask what he did wrong. But she told him not to nitpick and shut his mouth or she would grab him by the collar, and then said that the rest was over so they should now start their training again. Meanwhile, Officer Lee Yong-rim had called Tail, Kyung-jun, and the members of Team 1, namely Sang-yeon and Jae-hin, and explained them the mission, saying that the target was Gwangwi and Team 2 would support Team 1, who would be the main team. Hearing this, Sang-yeon asked him if it was really okay to let it slide, as he had said that it was important for Team 2 to perform well, and Lee Yong-rim replied that although it was important, what was more important was that they perform well in the mission, and he had to plan it around the stronger team for that reason. He then said that they had questioned the victim again, but there was nothing useful, so they were going to search under a different pretext, and then said that only protective gear had been approved, and since they were allowed to use force, they could use any method they wanted, and the warrant would be issued in 2 weeks, and they would finish off Gwangwi then. 2 weeks later, as Gwangwi was sitting in the club with few girls, he received a call from a white-haired boy who asked him that when was he going to pay, as he used his boys to beat up some fake cops and then got them arrested and called him a muscle-headed little bastard, and Gwangwi replied if he called just to talk trash, so the boy over the phone told him not to talk back with him as he was just a little loser, and then told him to come over to Jamsu Bridge within 10 minutes as his card was not being accepted, so he should get there quick, and while Gwangwi shouted that it would take an hour just to drive there, he had already hung up the phone. Just then, one of his boys came and called him outside as the juvenile police officers were there. Upon seeing them, he called them fakers and asked that why were they here again, and with the way they were walking around like it was their living room, people would misunderstand them for staff. Tail said that this was a little cheap for a living room as air here was dirty, and then said that his business was done for from that day, and showed him his mobile where this place was registered as a regular restaurant, and then said that he talked big about paying his taxes last time, but now he had registered his club like this, and according to Food Sanitation Act, they could have sound equipment in a regular restaurant, and said he must had done this to save on taxes, so that was why this club was going to shut down from that day and they were going to seize everything. Kyung-jun then stepped forward while showing off the handcuffs and said that he should come forward and wear these now. Hearing this, he stepped forward and put his hands on the shoulder of one of the 2 boys of Team 1 and said that how long was he planning to keep pretending to be a cop, as it would be all over anyways once he got caught, so he should just take the others down with him. Just then, the other boy from the Team 1 picked up a mic and hit the back of Kyung-jun hard with it and said that he was having fun tricking the cops. Tail and others were shocked at this sudden development, while Gwangwi hit the other boy, whose shoulder he was holding, hard to knock him out as well, and said that he was just a fake. And the guy said that he got caught too soon and then told his boys to go and wreck the remaining cops, and they got tangled with them. Jae-ha got out of the blockade and went straight for Gwangwi with a jab which he blocked easily, while saying that it was ridiculous that the biggest loser was charging in first, and asked him if he did not knew the saying that they could not beat a rock with an egg, as that was exactly what he was trying to achieve here, and told him to go rub his mom's back. Jae-ha then elbow struck him on the face while saying that his mom had run away, and it was not funny to mention this while calling him a bastard, and then said that he had told him that he would bring a warrant and now was going to show him the way of how to beat a rock with an egg. As Tail was fighting with some of the guys, just as he punched them away, another one was going to grab him from behind, but Yaren kicked him away and told him to pay attention and get a grip already, and he told her that he was fine, so she should go and help Jaeha, as they should not leave him alone. And as for the situation with their betraying member Sangyeon, he had it handled. As Jaeha was standing in front of Gwangwi, Sangyeon walked past them, and Gwangwi told him to leave this one alone, as he would make sure that he dies a slow and painful death. Hearing this, Sangyeon started laughing and told him to go ahead while running away, and when asked what he was doing, he said that he was going to head home as he had nothing else to do, which annoyed Gwangwi, and he shouted at him that they had to clean this first before they left and he was on his team. But Sangyeon showed him the finger, saying that they were just cooperating and he was not going to stick around anymore, and went out of the club. As he was walking through the roads, team leader Lee Yong-rim arrived in front of him. Seeing him, he asked what he was doing there, so he said that there was an incident nearby and then asked him why he was not with his team at the mission, so Sangyeon replied that he had something to take care of and was going to head back now. Lee Yong-rim told him that Tail had a body cam on and said that instincts were really something, and it helped him prepare for a time like this, and then asked him who he was. Sangyeon told him that there seems to be a misunderstanding, but Lee Yong-rim said that depending on the circumstances, he might have to arrest him. Sangyeon laughed at this and said that shouldn't he be the one to get arrested, as he had killed someone in the past, and then said that he knew why he was doing all this, which made Lee Yong-rim extremely angry, and he asked him if he was there at that time. Seeing his face, Sangyeon remarked that he was looking quite menacing, but he knew that he could not lay a finger on him as he was under restrictions, so he could act tough all he wanted, but he had already done his research on him. But before he could finish his last sentence, Lee Yong-rim tried to grab him and said that it did not matter when it came to that case, and Sangyeon barely managed to dodge and then turned around and ran away while shouting that running was the best option at times like these, and then threw off money, which caused the public to become excited, and they started moving around pushing each other to get the money, and Lee Yong-rim thought that this kid just diverted all the attention by using money. As Jaeha kept dodging the punches Gwangwi was throwing his way, he thought to himself that dodging this was easier than in training because of his brute force, body slamming style, and then felt a shiver down his spine because he knew that if he took even one hit, then he would be done for, and just then he got trapped against a wall, and as Gwangwi came at him with a jab, he thought that it was over, but Kyung-jun blocked his fist and then punched him with a straight on his face, sending him staggering backwards. Jaeha then asked him if he was okay, and Kyung-jun asked him if he was an idiot, as it took him over 10 minutes just to open his eyes, so of course he was not fine. Yaren also arrived next to them and said that their leader had told him to help them and that he would take care of the rest of the guards by himself. Gwangwi laughed after looking at them and then asked if it was allowed for them to gang up on him like this, as they were cops, and Kyung-jun said that it was real rich coming from him, who beat people up from behind and with a mic, and now he was talking about playing dirty, and Gwangwi immediately refuted it by saying that it was not him. Yaren said that he had stooped to the lowest of crimes, such as drug abuse and tax evasion. Gwangwi laughed at their remarks and said that it was still good that they AHD to gang up on him this way for a win, and then started talking about how he used to be a fat person in the past who used to get bullied a lot, and then he started working out and juicing soon after, and in UST 6 months, he tracked down all those bastards who had bullied him in the past and had beaten them to a pulp, and watching them grovel beneath his feet felt real good, and he said that compared to those losers, he was much better and was on a completely different level. Jaeha then told him that he was a psychopath and a drugged-up freak, and said that anything that had easily been gained could be lost just as easily. Yaren told him not to waste his breath on this idiot and said that they should follow their usual protocol after she gives the signal, and after that ran towards him, and when he threw a punch at her, she ducked and then grabbed his shirt and pulled him down, and just then Jaeha jumped over her shoulder and used his knee to hit Gwangwi in the face, and Kyung-jun grabbed one of his arms to hold him. Jaeha then held his other arm and put one of his arms on his shoulder as if preparing for a shoulder throw. While in training, he had been told by Yaren that he was not fit for a shoulder throw, so he had to bait his opponent by getting in the posture of the soldier throw, and when the opponent backs off to create some distance between themselves, he would capitalize on it by sweeping them sideways, and that was exactly what happened as Gwangwi immediately tried to back off. But Jaeha grabbed his collar and then threw him to the side by using his lack of balance and slammed him on the ground, and then immediately cuffed one of Gwangwi's hands with one of his and then put him in a necklock using his arms and twisting the arm of Gwangwi, who was cuffed with him, and Yaren and Kyung-jun also held him down so as to stop him from moving, and after struggling and shouting for a bit on how he could not lose to these losers here, he got up and shook off Yaren and then grabbed Jaeha and Tichari him towards her, breaking the cuffs on his hands, and afterwards punched Kyung-jun straight in the face, knocking him out, and laughed out like a maniac that the drugs had finally kicked in, and said that it was now time for round 2 and difficulty for them was going to change now. Just then Tail came running and kicked him in the face, but it did not even faze him much, and he grabbed him by the collar and threw him towards one of the walls and called out for next of them to come at him, and as Yaren went to him running, she ducked and punched him in the face, then a straight to the chest and then an uppercut, but all this was for nothing as he felt nothing, and then grabbed her face and slammed her on the ground and said that it looks like now only the weakest one was left, while staring at Jaha, who punched him, but he simply grabbed and threw towards a wall which broke down, and he fell inside a small room and was surprised to see several people completely knocked out by drugs there, and saw multiple empty syringes lying everywhere from table to the floor. Inside this room, Guanghui arrived there saying that he should have been careful, and now the door was busted, as this was the one thing that he did not want to show. And this was because his life was a complete mess. He then said that the funny thing about this world was that when he was weak, no one cared about him, but the moment he bulked up and became strong, they started latching onto him like dogs, and said that bossy of these guys. He also had a good time, and then said that was when he realized that people only cared about whoever was on the top, and then pointed at one of the boys laying on the sofa and said that that bastard was one of his followers, and last time when he tried hitting on a girl and got rejected, he threw a fit which ended him up in a prison, but here he was back again, and this was the human nature, as they acted like they were different, pretended to be clean and righteous, and such bastards were the ones who shaped the society, the law and power itself. But Jaha simply showed him the finger while shouting at him to stop his bullshit, while calling him a dumbass clown, and said that this was the most disgusting thing he had ever heard. By his logic, all the weak people were just potential criminals, and then he said that he finally had a goal and was working his ass off to become a police officer. And he was saying that this was just hypocrisy and the world was filthy. And then he said that by saying all these things he was just trying to justify his actions, and said he would show him what it really meant to sweat and struggle without a cheat code, while calling him a protein-chugging, roided-up piece of shit. Guanghui then ran towards him with his fist formed, and Jaha also ran towards him and then took out his jacket and threw him at his face, blocking his vision, and then crossed both of his elbows and slammed into Guanghui with full force, and then grabbed his collar and punched him again at the same spot on his face where he had hit him multiple times before, which caused him to pause, and then he punched him blindly, but he blocked and backed off Ns just as he was about to hit him again. He felt his vision going black, and he coughed out a mouthful of blood, which was the result of getting hit in the same spot again and overdosing on drugs that pushed his heart rate to his limit, and these drugs were lethal in a minor's body that caused him to completely stop in his tracks, holding his head. And while Jaha did not understood what was going, he knew one thing in his heart, and that this was his chance, so he immediately punched Guanghui again and then shoulder throw him and picked him up and threw him sideways, and because he did not knew any other moves, so he kept using these two again, and after a while Guanghui was knocked out, and Jaha standing there said that he had already told him that he was going to show him how to defeat a rock with an egg. After dreaming about his school days when he used to get bullied by his classmates, Guanghui woke up to see himself tied up and realized that he lost, and he was unable to accept that he lost to the people he had considered losers, and then started banging his head against the wall, and Jaha immediately stopped him while asking if he had finally gone mad, and kept spouting about just what had he missed, as he had completely rebuilt himself, so that no one could ever look down on him again, and ran like hell but still got caught. Hearing this nonsense, Jaha got annoyed and said that he was just uncool, and what he needed to fix was not his muscles but his self-loathing mindset, and Guanghui shouted at him if he wanted to get himself killed by lecturing him. Jaha punched him in the face again and told him to shut up, and went to help Yuring with wrapping things up, while Guanghui kept thinking about his words of self-loathing, and with that the club hype suppression operation had been completed. The next day after waking up, Jaha looked at himself in the mirror and said his body had gotten bigger and his face looked a bit slimmer as well, kinda stylish, and at this rate he was going to be a beast in a few months. He then started getting ready while singing, as today was the day he was going to become a cop. As he was about to head out, he saw his head walking out of door, so he called out to him if he was going out, but his dad ignored him and left, so he also left for work as it was getting late, but was shocked to see at the front of police station as there were ambulances and a lot of cops and hospital employees, so he ran to Tail and asked just what was happening. Officer Lee Yong-rim told him that they did not have the whole picture yet, and what he needed to know was that Guanghui was abducted. During his transfer to holding, and Tail added that when two cops were taking Guanghui to sit in a car outside the station so he could be transported, many bikers came in speed and hit them with bats, who were being led by the white-haired guy whom Guanghui once called on the phone with and who had provided him with guys to beat up Jaha and others before, and two of his people took Guanghui with them, and they left just as fast as they came, and when one of the cops took out his gun, one of them knew that the first round was blank, so he immediately hit the guy in the head with bat and escaped, and then said that it was really surprising that people could storm a police station in this day and age. Lee Yong-rim then said that as of that day onwards, Guangwei was a wanted man, and since this case had become this big, they should be able to track him down quickly. Jae-ha asked if it would be troublesome for their team, but Lee Yong-rim said that this had nothing to do with Team 2 and then congratulated him on becoming an official member of Team 2 and a cop and added that since it was a bit chaotic there, they should head upstairs and talk and walked up ahead. Tail stopped Jae-ha and told him that actually he was not supposed to become a cop this time, which shocked him, and he immediately blurted out, "Why is that?" Meanwhile, someplace unknown, Guangwei woke up and found himself hanging upside down to the ceiling and had his face bloody and looked at the white-haired guy and went on to abuse him but was interrupted by the guy saying that he could tolerate a lot of things but there was one thing that he hated the most and they were debtors. Guangwei immediately started saying that he swears that he would pay and he had hidden away a small stash of cash so if he let him go, he could pay him right now but the guy said he could not trust him. Guangwei said that they had hit the police station like that so they should be worried about themselves, but the guy shrugged it off, saying that he had connections who would smooth things over for him, and then punched him again, saying that he got arrested and all his accounts got frozen, and said that he knew that they were the kind of guys who lived outside the laws of Korea, so it was time to settle this, as he was not going anywhere while picking up a wrench. This white-haired guy was named Young Sang-jin. He started hitting him with a wrench, and after a while, when he was knocked out, told his guys to take care of this mess and then called out to Sang-yeon, who said that he should wait for a while as he was ordering clothes because there was a sale ongoing. Sang-jin told him to finish it quickly and after a while he came and asked what happened and he replied that since Guangwei had been ended and they needed someone to replace him at the money-making job so he would be taking his place and said that his team would be excluded from his. After Tail told Jae-ha that he was not supposed to become a cop that day. He asked him that why was that as he did everything he was told to do and Tail replied that it was because he was exposed to media and due to the recent incident, Team 1 had been officially disbanded and Kyung-jun would not be able to return for a while as he had symptoms of a concussion and bone fractures so he required at least 12 weeks of recovery, and as such, this incident had resulted in severe losses and no matter how they were called the youth police, in the end they were still youth so the higher-ups view it even more negatively and Jae-ha said that this was not fair as those old guys did not handle things properly today and messed it up as well. Tail told him to stop making hateful remarks, but he said that it was true and said that he did as he was instructed, so he should not be the one suffering, and added that those older guys would just overlook the case without even properly investigating. Tail said that when the problem arises, the adults eliminate the cause, and it was their way of operating, and then added that though he was lucky because of the team leader's strong opposition, he became a police officer and said that for the time being, there would be no orders so he should take care of things he could not do before. Jae-ha asked what those things were. Tail got annoyed and said that he obviously meant school by this and said that due to a past incident, he was now transferred to a different school and told him not to worry about anything and that he should just attend. As Jae-ha arrived at school, he was clearly annoyed because of coming here, and it was the same school as Yeren. When Yeren saw his face, she grabbed his neck and asked why he was making such a smug expression and then said that there were 2 rules that he needed to follow, which were that he should not reveal that he was a youth police officer and should not get involved with kids' fights, and said that he should just focus on attending as they were in a period of self-reflection. Just then, 2 boys who were twins named Kim Tae-oh and Kim Dol came next to him and said hi to Yeren while asking about who this newcomer was and asked that she should introduce him to the Moss well. But Yering dragged him away, ignoring them while shouting at them that she did not know this guy and he just came to her, and then said to Jae-ha calling him a stranger to come with her. Jae-ha remarked that her actions and words did not match at all. As Ji-ha walked into his classroom, he was annoyed and already wanted to head home and thought that after he became an adult, working at a company would be more bearable than this. He then decided that since he had to survive there, he should get started with scouting the kids, and it was absolutely important to avoid people like Mingyu, and after looking around he found a spot and walked up next to the kid and asked if the seat was taken. The guy told him that it was empty. Jae-ha then greeted him, saying that he just got transferred today, and the kid responded to his greeting, and then he listened to the song this guy was hearing and asked if he was a hipster while laughing. The guy also laughed and said that this was not the case. Jae-ha then said he wonders how many people he would get to know once everyone shows up. But at least he had already made one friend. The guy told him that these were all the people there were in this class, which shocked him, and he shouted, "Why are there so few people in the classroom?" The boy said that it was because a lot of people were dropping out because of the message while showing him that message on his phone which stated that there was an urgent part-time job available for minors and pay was unlimited with flexible working hours but they needed to drop out of their school. Jae-ha looked at this and wondered if this was drug dealing and the conditions were really strange. The guy said that at starting, Everyone laughed when they received this message and thought that it was a fake message, and then one guy decided to try it out like a crazy person, and then he dropped out and there was no news about him afterwards, and he was later seen after a long time and had changed a lot, and he told everyone that the part-time job was real, so they should also try it out, and after that, their school had a crazy number of dropouts as no one wanted to study and were blinded by money, and seeing this, school tightened the dropout regulations, but the kids simply stopped coming until they got expelled, and this was how they got to the current situation, and all this happened in a month or two. Jae-ha then asked him why he did not drop out, and the guy told him that he could not make such a rash decision and money and success did not come this easily, and they were in the rap lyrics while showing a thumbs up. Jae-ha called him a punk and showed a thumbs up, saying that he passed. Just then the twins from before appeared, and one of them smacked the guy in the head while calling him a genius and asked why he came to school again, as they had told him to drop out. The other one said that this punk was really a studious guy, and they then saw Jae-ha, and one of them mentioned he was the same guy who came in earlier with Yeren, so he asked him about his relationship with her, and Jae-ha told him that they just lived in the same neighborhood and he did not really know her all too well. The guy then walked next to him and asked him to introduce them to Yeren, and he did not have any other choice because if he did not introduce them to Yeren, then they would beat him up, and the other said that he would not defy him, and then the guy started again, telling him to quit school. Jae-ha thought if he should intervene but then remembered the rules that he should not intervene in the kids' fights. The twins kept smacking the guy, calling him names, and then one of them said that he was really dumb and should just wait before he caught him one day and he would end up like his friend. This sentence broke the fuse in Jae-ha's mind and he got up and called out to him, and as the guy turned around, he punched him straight in the face, and when the other one shouted at him, he punched him as well, calling him a background character. The twins shouted at him and asked if he were out of his mind. Jae-ha thought that he could not let them know that he was a youth police officer, so he should just act as a villain. He then said that listening to them makes him mad and asked him if he thought that he was some lackey and asked if he wanted to die, as tried giving him advice earlier, and then asked if they wanted to get beaten up. One of them said that he looked so weak and wanted to fight and started laughing, but Jae-ha punched him in the face again, and his nose started bleeding. The other one immediately swung his fist at him, but he dodged it, thinking that these guys were not even scary and were weaklings, and it was way too easy for him to dodge them, and just when he was feeling overconfident, he got punched in the face and staggered backward a bit, and the guy said that he got nothing, and he said that he should just introduce him to Yeren, and the other one also got up, praising his brother. As Jae-ha got up, he asked them if they knew what metacognition was and told him to look in the mirror and reflect on himself, which made the guy angry, and he came running towards him swinging his fists and shouting that he had an average-looking face, but Jae-ha easily dodged it and then grabbed him and head-butted him and then complained that even his brain was rattling now. Just then the other one came at him, calling him jerk, and punched him in the face and said that he was real ugly himself. So how was he in any position talk about looks of others? Jae-ha then turned around and shouldered through the guy on the floor and said that if he was a girl, then he would never date them, as their faces were way too bad, and kept beating them up some more. After a while, he made them both sit up next to the lockers and asked them why they were bullying others into dropping out from school, as these guys were all going to be his underlings. One of the twins said that it was because of the job, while the other one kept crying about how he was not ugly, and the first one said that their job was to recruit kids for the job. Jae-ha then asked them about what this job was to cause all this trouble. The guy said that he would never tell him anything and it did not matter how he dug, as he would never find out about anything, and Jae-ha said that he was real loyal while pinching his brother and said that these kinds of people start talking after getting beaten up a bit, and his brother immediately started shouting that he would talk so he should stop, and immediately said that the job was like an errand center and they only took minors and not a single adult, and it paid well. Jae-ha asked him if it was enough to make kids drop out of school, and the guy said that there was a lot of work and money and it was the first time in his life that he saw so much cash and held it in his hand. Jae-ha asked him about what was the name of those people, and he replied that it was Yacha, which they had copied from some comic. Jae-ha then asked him what he would do if he told them to stop. The guy immediately cried out if he was crazy, as he and his brother both would die, and said that if a person joined Yacha, then they would get anything they wanted, but if they were to defy them, then they would take everything away from that person, and it was the way of Yacha. Meanwhile, in an alley, the cops found the dead body of Gwangwi. One of the detectives then called out to Officer Lee Yong-rim and said that in all his years of work, this was the first time he had seen something like this. He said that these kids had no identities and they were unable to trace them. He then said that even their motorcycles were unregistered and they did not have any birth certificates either, and this was probably the reason why they were able to act so fearlessly, and then looked at the body and said that there was no regularity in the injury pattern, so this did not look to be a planned crime. Lee Yong-rim thought that even these guys did not have any identities and were just like the boys they caught last time who attacked Team 2, as they also had no identities, and what was truly puzzling about them was that they were ready to accept any punishment without revealing anything about who was behind them, so they had no lead to follow. As he walked past the body, he saw a tattoo on his hand, and it was similar to a person that he had caught in the past. Meanwhile, in the school, Jae-ha got truly annoyed after hearing their answers and said that these guys were really crazy, and it was like they were playing gangsters in a school drama comic. So one of the twins told him to go and meet these people himself while calling him a crazy jerk, and Jae-ha in turn called him an idiot. Just then, Yerin walked into the classroom and said that she had told him to stay quiet, but he had wrecked everything completely on his very first day and asked if he was trying to ruin everything and immediately punched him in the face multiple times and then asked if he found out anything. Jae-ha told her that there were kids who would do anything for money. Hearing this, Yerin said that she knew about this and had dealt with the troublemakers in her class. Hearing this, Jae-ha called her a hypocrite, but Yerin ignored him and continued that these were probably the same guys who came to the police station and said that she had found out that their leader rode a green Kawasaki, and the guy who came to the police station had the same model, and said that this was really too coincidental and asked him if this did not smell fishy to him, and said that this was the reason she was going to start an investigation by herself, as they were not in a position to move somewhere else at the moment, and asked him if he wanted to help her. Jae-ha thought to himself that it did not matter if this happened to Gwangwi or someone else. What was a fact was that these guys had crossed the line, so he agreed with Yerin. He then called the twins Old Face 1 and Old Face 2 and asked them where he needed to go for doing that job. While one of them asked why he was called Old Face, the other told him the address. Yerin said that since Yacha held regular gatherings where they would give out tasks and check out the performances of new members, and since they only took minors and looked like gangsters to other people, they had no choice but to join them. And there were two objectives that they needed to do, which were to find out information about Sangyeon from the organization and to catch the most cunning ones there. After Jae-ha arrived with Yerin at the meeting place of Yacha, he thought that this was a bit too much. Old Face 1 told him that joining the group was himself, as they just had to prove their usefulness to that person who was sitting in the middle. Jae-ha asked if this guy was the leader, but Old Face 1 told him that he was not the leader and was just the guy who managed new recruits like them. Jae-ha then asked him what he had to do to prove his usefulness. Old Face 1 said that they had to cut off one of their fingers, which shocked Jae-ha, and he started sweating, but Old Face 1 immediately said that he was just joking with him because he seemed to be tense. Jae-ha told that he would be dead once they get out of here, and he immediately apologized. Meanwhile, the main guy got up from his chair and walked up to Jae-ha and stood in front of him. When Jae-ha looked at him, he thought that this guy looked really familiar to him, and he started thinking if he had met him somewhere.